bump to the boot, to the boot, to the boot, boot, bump to the bass, to the bass, bass.
Boy, oh boy, what a year, folks. I know it, you know it, we all know it. Hell, we're so thick into the hell year, and once again, as a yearly tradition, I'm super mega late to my top 5 video. Well, sorta. I'm changing up the format this time though, because I have no attention span for structure anymore, and to be honest, we're lucky I'm even formulating sentences anymore at this rate. Listen gang, I had a hard year, and I know we all did, but I just want to be vulnerable here for a quick second. I finished my college degree at the tail end of 2019 and was hoping to start a brand new chapter of my life, and then, well, we all know what happened.
When I'd got in there, I realised that actually this is serious stuff.
I worked in a call centre for a bit, had several panic attacks, left said call centre, and then was jobless for a while, but then I got a new job at a makeup store, and, well, the dread time started. And here we are. 12 months later, and nothing to show for a year of my life other than those fleeting little memories in the rain. Well, no actually. I did start this channel, and I made a whole bunch of friends through it. Over the past couple of months, making content for this little slice of heaven has really kept me going. Be it just getting some thoughts out, or learning to edit, or hanging with some homies, this has seriously been a blessing, so thank you. Whoever watches, it honestly means the world to me. In a year where we saw protests over radically targeted violence, a growing fascist state in most of the Western world, and a general feeling of loss of humanity on all sides, it was nice to find a little community of homies that were there for each other, were able to shoot the shit and support each other, and just generally vibe, so thank you. I love you all. So, this year I'm going to do the list a bit different. None of these are really ranked other than number 1, but I mean, it's pretty obvious what that'll be at this point. These are just more some thoughts on games I played this year, or liked a whole bunch, or made a lasting impact with me or my friends. And no, I haven't played Hades, alright? I've been very busy. One positive thing I think we can all agree on about the last year was there was a bountiful choice for when it came to video game releases. For a while there, it didn't actually feel so bad to stay inside if we got lifelong dreams like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Crash 4 out of it. Felt like a big fun weekend. Until, well...
El muchacho de los ojos tristes vive solo y necesita amor.
I spent the last year sort of in and out of a job, depending on what level of lockdown Ireland was at the time, so I played a bunch of shit this year. So let's talk about them. Alrighty, here we go. Good old Capcom kept up their yearly release schedule of Resident Evil remakes this year, with the launch of Resident Evil 3 Remake up in March, releasing to a collective... I mean, it was fine, but it was no Remake 2 or anything. Sure, I mean, it felt kinda empty and devoid of its own personality in a lot of places, which is a shame because it's the most character Jill has ever really had.
She is very gorgeous to me!
She's honestly a really good protagonist, and I wish Capcom wouldn't leave her on the farm in between games for so long. Yeah, it's weird, Capcom sure can't figure out what to do with 3, no matter what decade it is, be it 1999 or 2020. All in all though, I mean, the pros were Carlos was extremely hot and I miss him every single day. The cons were I finished it in one sitting and I can't really remember much of it, so take that as what you will. On the flip side though, in the never-ending homework that is my Resident Evil catch-up, I played Code Veronica. Whoo boy, people weren't lying about how bonkers Code Veronica is. The levels of highs and low I experienced while trudging through this nasty little game were unparalleled. I see a lot of people wanting this one for a remake the most, and now I really see why, because god, it's aged so badly, but kind of in an amazingly funny way.
That was too close. But I found something, thanks to you. Looks cool, huh?
Oh, I need those. Give them to me.
Like, okay, the bosses suck and generally need to be restructured from the ground up, and some of the sections' placement of enemies and ammo could be redone, but you cannot argue that the game just has this thick sense of vibes. It's got some weirdly great visual flair to some of its drab but sort of lonely island dwellings, and honestly one of the strongest Resident Evil OSTs I've ever heard. Like, goddamn, that save theme is just so good. But none of that compares, and I mean none of that holds a goddamn candle to this game's shitpost tier level of pacing and storytelling. Shit is fucking crazy. At one point, Jill finds a random unlocked computer in a secret military base that she's been locked in, so she decides to send an unencrypted email to Leon, of all people, about her whereabouts in order for him to get in contact with Chris. even though she's looking for Chris. And then she bumps into a cyber twink called Steve, and then she starts fighting backflipping cyber Wesker. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't need a remake, it's perfect, go play it. Ghost of Tsushima came out, people sort of liked it for a month, I made a video on it, go watch it. Next. While Ring Fit may technically have come out in 2019, it's clear that many people, including myself, found its addition to the year a welcome one. With gyms and pools being closed and, you know, the outside generally being a scary place, Ring Fit gave me a generally pretty good workout in the space of comfy JRPG mechanics and rad Nintendo sports aesthetics. Think Woohoo Island if it was mixed with Grandia, which honestly sounds better than Ring Fit, but it's fun, trust me.
So I'm gonna have to say next.
Not since 1998 have we seen a fully new and true sequel to Crash Bandicoot 3. Well, except for that one, and I guess that one as well.
How many times have you beaten this clown anyway?
3.
Really? Only 3? Funny. Seemed like more.
Actually, you know what? Fuck off, Toys for Bob. Crash Infinity was sick.
Hey, bestie.
Next. Not really much to say on this one, to be honest. Just play Umaragi Generation, stream Macro, fuck Naganuma, stan Thor.
I'm gonna have to say next.
13 Sentinels is incredible, and please go play it, even though I can't talk about it, because that would ruin it, even though I already did a 20-minute video on it. Shut up, go watch the video, I guess. Next. Okay, whoa, hey, now, okay, hey, geez. This is a big one, you guys. Spelunky 2 is like what it feels like coming back to a really good book. Like, it's filled with bookmarks and pages, because you just keep putting it down, but you keep wanting to reread it. I played a bookload of Spelunky Uno back in the daily streaming, daily challenge, big hype days, when anyone with a Twitch was cool and the monster energy was pouring like wine, but legit though, it's a top tier example of game design working seamlessly in just about every angle, not a single moving piece out of place, and they all just add up to one of the most incredible, seamless, wonderful game experiences I've ever had. Spelunky 2 easily does this and more, and to be honest, not only topping the original in many ways, but reinventing itself through new twists on old classics. While the rideable turkeys make the notable harder first area sequence more of like a cattle ranching game, and it even has like a bombing raid at the end. This can even add to multiple branching paths depending on how you kill the big old stinky Olmec. It's just great, and there's so many different new ways to go through the game. The only real issue I have with it is I just don't think I spend enough time with it to fully really get its new mechanics and challenge. Hell, I've never even gotten past World 3. That's entirely on me though. And hell, it's crazy during a year with like goddamn Hades and let's not forget Going Under. It rose among the roguelike giants as like a goddamn good gamey ass game. It's incredibly tough to crack, but even just playing a few rounds of it is incredibly fun. Also, adding Oxytils was inspired, and I love you so much, Derek Yu. They are the cutest babies in the world. Alright, I think that's just about everything for the general stuff, but we do of course have my own personal list of... Oh, it's you. Oh boy. Okay, I guess we have to address this, don't we? Roll the tape. So, midsummer rolls around. I'm streaming almost every weekend with a group of my pallies over on Discord, and we've been having fun. We played Code Veronica, had some beers, fun times all around were had. But then comes July 10th.
That's so upsetting.
Oh god, here we go. Okay, listen. I have never played Deadly Premonition until this year. And with the sequel coming out, it seemed like a perfect time to jump on. Summer's winding in, warm, hazy nights are coming, and I've got the night off work. What better way to unwind with some friends and experience Swery's shitty magnum opus, Deadly Premonition, on the new Switch port? It'll be a fun time, right?
Are you sure about that?
Look, as a work of pastiche, Deadly Premonition 1 does a really good job of representing the Americana of the 1990s television. True, like the works of David Lynch's Twin Peaks is a pretty obvious influence, but other shit like X-Files and Buffy with the whole TV next time on title cards you see in between chapters, or the goofy character introductions. And said time and time again, the game's sense of humor, place, and general atmosphere are all really, really great. Hazy rainy nights, murderous mystery trails, cozy hotel conversations. Shit's all as good as it's ever been told to me, and it was really fun to experience the first way through. And what surprised me was the legitimately really great writing and voice acting for the entire cast. York and the cop crew especially hit it out of the park. And Kaysen is now like one of my favourite batshit character forces in any video game. He's fucking insane and I love him. And god, the town as well, like, I know it's empty and it runs like shit, but I don't really care. Pretty wild how much I remember of it, honestly, through my like 2 AM beer-soaked adventures through it in June. And yeah, the combat is fucking but the music is amazing.
The game is fucking. But the music is amazing!
Overall, I really loved Deadly Premonition, and I was excited to see what Swery was going to do with the sequel. Other than... Wait, what's going on here? No. Swery, stop. No, Swery, put down the red dress. Swery, stop. Oh god. Deadly Premonition is a series that, much like its original influence, Twin Peaks, is about the inner darkness that dwells in America, and to a greater extent, the violence and depravity that can be found in all humans. The issue is, though, this theme can be seen not only in the game, but in Swery65's disturbing fascination with presenting minority characters in his games. I don't really want to dwell on this, because goddamn this could be its own video, and I feel like I don't really have the clearance to do it, but I'm sorry, from my experience of these two games back to back, Swery has a serious obsession with depicting trans women as murderers, drug dealers, vindictive, violent, and above all, dead. The signs were all there from the original game with the stuff involving Thomas, to be honest. Red dress and all, they met their fate in an eerily similar way to what happens in Deadly Premonition 2, and was just about as badly handled from a gender identity standpoint as Deadly Premonition's most controversial character, Lena Dunham. A character so poorly handled in the representation of a trans woman, they were later patched to apparently fix dialogue, but folks, let me tell you, I played the post-patch and it's still absolutely not okay. Lena is at first seemingly an interesting character, but I've honestly not seen a depiction of a trans woman this bad since the 90s. An era Swery so clearly loves to present as a reality in 2020. She's a character that seemingly has so much power and gravitas to the entire franchise in terms of its lore and biology, yet is not even treated with the respect of, oh, I don't know, not dead-naming her every 5 minutes or showing her bare chest in a murder scene. It's gross, I hate it, she deserved better, and so did we. It just, actually, you know what, fuck this. Swery, I love what you make, and your games have a wonderful voice, but please, for the love of God, stop trying to write trans characters. Whew, sorry, okay, just had to get that out. Sorry about that. He's gone. Who knows what the good life will fuck up at this point, but that's a bridge that we have to cross at a later date. Anyway. Did you know? There are other things than video games. Like anime. No, wait, come back. Yeah, 2020 had some cool shit other than games, let's be fair. I aren't a massive anime fan these days. I can't really keep up with long-running shows or shonen, to be honest, but I do peek my head in every now and again to see if there's any cool shit. Didn't really watch a whole lot of the current shows, I'm being honest. Like, I watched the entire run of the 1990 Moomins anime, which was an absolute dream, and listen, I'll get to that at some point. Didn't watch Demon Slayer, or Beastars, or Dora. I watched The Great Pretender. That show was shit. I mean, it looked nice. That was about it. Oh, come on. There must have been something good in 2020 I watched. Come on. Ah, found it. Perfect. Keep Your Hands Off of Zeku-kun was like the one show this year that spoke to my inner being. And hey, I would expect nothing less from the iconic king of anime right now, Masaki Yuasa, the guy who somehow made Devilman even gayer than the 1990s OVA.
Real!
Hello.
You seem very well.
This dude has been cranking out classic over the last 2 decades, and only recently got the big hype from the Crybaby. But God, like, I don't know, what mind game? That thing will change you. But seriously though, fucker worked on Shin-chan, One Piece movies, and a goddamn emotional piece about ping pong. So you know he's a real one, and Zeku-kun is no different. Damn, I just love everything about this one. Its sense of reverence for anime's past, its meticulous yet campy portrayal of the actual difficulty of animation, budgeting, and goddamn Foley work, yet is still somehow wrapped up in this, like, gorgeous, fluid, bizarre, otherworldly atmosphere that reads as reality but also a kid's sketchbook, even in the real world sections. From the intricate and unique setting of a rundown Oceania city to the weird geometry of the buildings and layouts, to each girl's design telling you exactly what you need to know about their character from just the silhouettes alone, it's some god tier shit and really deserves your time, even if you skipped out on it originally if you were watching, I don't know, Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun. Alright.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Da, 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 da.
I am right over here, so come and kill me!
Nintendo was really weird in 2020. Fuckers spent the entire year without a single traditional direct, had months of no releases, and sort of just announced shit at random times with no warnings with a single trailer. Also, they begun a super insidious and creepy form of digital scarcity that could continue to be super worse and more insidious business practices that could begin to destroy their audience. But I'm starting to sound like a talking puppet with bad takes, so I'll shut up for now. One good thing they did do in 2020 though was bring back one of my favorite series, Paper Mario, with the release of Paper Mario: The Origami King. Now, it's obvious and easy to say that the Paper Mario series has waned in quality over the last few years, with Sticker Star and Color Splash moving further and further away from the hyper-detailed JRPG worlds of OG N64 comfy vibes, and the grand tale of the Thousand Year Door, due in part to Shigeru Miyamoto being just an awful boss. But hey, people said Color Splash was a bit better, so I was excited for Origami King when it appeared at one sunny day in June, or whenever it was. Time has no meaning now. Anyway, spoilers, I loved it. Origami King was honestly a perfect summer game for me, because it had all the intentions of a JRPG adventure without, well, the actual leveling or combat required from one. While many took issues with the game's sort of basic puzzle-twisty approach to combat, I quite liked the overworld basic one, and weirdly hated the boss one. I don't know, my brain just couldn't do it, which is funny because people tend to love the boss ones and hate the overworld ones, so gosh, isn't there egg on my tits? But who gives a damn about combat when we have such a fresh new Mario adventure to explore? The game's story of warring paper siblings that takes you across lush environments across the Mushroom Kingdom really were a sight to behold, each environment having its own gorgeous visual and cultural influence. From blood-red trees in the Japanese-style lakeside and theme park to the purple night sky of the desert, the whole game's visual language just popped. Each area had its own cute little overworld gameplay change as well, like boot scooting across the desert, exploring a whole-ass sea a la Wind Waker vibes, and even had a surprisingly robust fishing mechanic. These little elements really helped the game's areas feel unique, which was also helped by the game's slight return to NPCs having a visual difference. Sure, it's just a few little hats and stuff, but it's leaps and bounds from the countless unnamed toads of the past two games. And yeah, the unnamed toads were in this game, but they were added as a collectible to the overworld areas, which made it fun rather than monotonous. What makes the NPCs better in this game is that they were also just really well written. People who know, but like, I cried in places during this game. Not out of just laughter, but like, guys, this is a Mario game about talking paper that gets really sad and has these little moments of grief that makes the game's lighter, sillier moments even stronger. You know, basic storytelling. Imagine that, Shigeru. Yeah, anyway, Origami King owns. I'm super happy one of my favorite game properties is allowed sort of be good again, and I super hope we get more of this approach to Paper Man in the future. What else? Oh, Bobby's a real one. An absolute king. We stand Bobby. Alright, I'm gonna keep this one brief because If Found deserves its own video at some point, because it just means that much to me. If Found was a visual novel released at the tail end of 2020 and made waves in queer spaces, and boy howdy, yeah, for a good reason. It's a story about a young trans woman returning to her home of Achill Island in Ireland during the 1990s. Building new friendships, strife with her family, and accepting who she is and her own place in the universe. And Jesus, okay, this game broke me in places I didn't know I had. And while I in no way want to claim ownership of a deeply personal and beautiful trans story, I say this as a gay idiot growing up in a small seaside town in Ireland. Moments of this game spoke to me on a level I thought were stacked away behind the shed in the garden. The game just has such a gorgeous approach to time, grief, and especially conversation. Helped by an in-game glossary that acts as like an Irish language and slang dictionary. So many times the game would mention things I obviously would know, but came up translated, and it was so bizarre to see the culture presented to a wider audience. Like, you guys don't know what the toy show is, and that's fucking wild to me. Anyway, listen. I said I'd keep this brief and all, and the less said about the game's content and story the better, because it's all about uncovering it, or even getting rid of it. But I implore you to try this game out if you're in any way just a human who has complicated emotions with their identity, where they grew up, just having a hard time being found.
Honey, I'm in love.
My relationship with Final Fantasy VII isn't as long or personal as many have. I played it on my PSP back in secondary school and really loved it at the time. I mean, I had obviously played plenty of JRPGs that learned and grew from it before. The game still absolutely blew me away because, let's face it, whether you love or hate the game or what it represents, it's impossible to say it's not iconic. Weirdly enough, I have the exact opinion of Remake, though in just really different ways. I'll get into it. I feel like I don't really need to explain why Final Fantasy VII Remake was such a big deal, as well as its eventual backlash, though honestly it wasn't as big as I was expecting. Listen, first things first, the game isn't a remake, I'll say that. Draw the line in the sand right here. Remake is a pseudo reimagining possible sequel to the original game. The god Mad King Nomura essentially molding Final Fantasy VII into an entirely new experience for old and new players to experience. To many fans, disappointment, or worse, complete contempt. I, on the other hand, welcome our high fashion overlord and absolutely freaking adore the game. I mean, I'm a diehard Nomura stan. Obviously, what else would I say? There's something so goddamn comfy yet exhilarating about how he writes and pulls off countless hacky, tropey strings together to this hype-ass conclusion. Bringing all the stupidest pulls from the compilation and fleshing them out in earnest new scopes. It's just so goddamn cool to see a creator treat as many stupid incarnations of a series that many see as bad, but he treats them with just as much reverence as the original, which is exactly what FF7 Remake is, to be honest. It's so much of a remake and a celebration of the OG game's Midgar portion, but adding various compilation pulls, a fresh-ass new combat system, and of course, just making it so goddamn gay. Final Fantasy VII Remake is maybe the gayest thing Square Enix has ever produced, since maybe the opening sequence of Final Fantasy X2, and I love it so much for it. Okay, maybe in better terms, Remake absolutely explores the world of Final Fantasy VII with a level of camp I haven't really seen in modern Final Fantasies. It's a game that absolutely revels in its over-the-top presentation, stupid character design and set pieces, which is crazy because, lads, this is Disc 1. Midgar, in most terms of cultural memory, was sad and grimy, bar, Wall Market, of course, which in the original I for sure remember liking, but in Remake was the absolute best part of the entire game for me. The dress sequence is iconic both in its original vision, but now the dialogue and the updated elements to it are just...
Cloud? Is that you? Oh my god, that makeup! And that dress!
Nailed it, I know, thank you. Moving on.
But also, the new characters they added just made it all the better. Hell, War Market this time around feels less like a middle portion of Disc 1, but a goddamn episode of RuPaul's Drag Race.
The time has come to lip sync for your life.
But on a more serious note, I legitimately think Square Enix did a wonderful job representing this new version of the cast in a fresh new way. Sure, some people think Aerith and Tifa now only throw themselves a cloud and act as romance objects, but I honestly thought they both have some of the most charming character moments I've seen in a JRPG in a long time. Hell, all three of them during the game's middle portion kind of felt like an incredibly endearing throuple than a love triangle, and boy, I would be down for that, just three queens living their best lives. Also, let's face it, we'd all be throwing ourselves a cloud too. I mean, just look how pretty they made him! It's not just those three though, everyone got a huge amount to do and play off of. Reno and Rude's bromance is as stupid as ever, the other members of Avalanche all having their own cute little quirks fleshed out in cutscenes, and an entirely new chapter. And Barrett gives off so many emotionally charged dad vibes, I could marry him on the spot anytime he gets those tits out. Listen, what I'm trying to say here is, sure, the cast isn't exactly what they once were in a PS1 game from 2 decades ago, and that's okay. They are different with a familiar feeling, which gives Nomura and his team a great starting point not only just with cast, but the entire future of Final Fantasy VII as a game. Sure, the end had some weird shit, some bad, some good, but I honestly couldn't really not look at this remake and see a game absolutely exploding with ideas, polish, and above all, that goddamn swanky Nomura charm I crave so much. Call me biased, but so are you gamer boomers, fuck off. Animal Crossing is my favourite franchise. Video games, movies, TV, all media really. Animal Crossing is the one. The first one I played was Wild World, my favourite one is Population Growing, and hot take, I don't really care for New Leaf.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm gonna kill you, give me $200.
So yeah, I was fucking hyped for this, and boy oh boy did it deliver in a way that a lot of us weren't expecting. New Horizons is maybe the most personal and in-depth an Animal Crossing game has gotten to a lot of people. The comfy yet restricting vibes of city folk or population growing have been replaced with a way more interactive and vibrant one, because in this game, it's your town. Jesus, the level of detail and care put into just the littlest elements of the game boggles my mind. With the new framing of the Nook Island Getaway package, Tom Nook, gaming's most fuckable socialist daddy, essentially just lets you do whatever you want. Want to move that house? Cool. Want to place stairs or bridges wherever? Yeah, dope. Want to make a little singing area for all your villagers? Yeah, go ahead. Oh my god, look at them, they're so cute. Ugh, for real man, the villagers this time just light a sense of joy in me. Seeing these little babies I've spent my childhood getting to know in such beautiful, soft, HD renders makes me so happy. They're all just so expressive and cute. There's a lot of little details to their designs I love, and the expressions this time around are just incredible. Just wish the villagers got the same treatment. Just once you rattle through their 3 conversation cues, things get a little bit stale, which is a damn shame. The villagers for sure got the most dumbing down in this title, which is funny seeing as there's a goddamn underground trafficking wing for villagers. Fucking Raymond created an entire trading system where the game was most popular during the summer. Poor Raymond was so beloved and now no one cares. Though, saying that, the shit that always brought me coming back to the series was the subtle storytelling and the charming cast of characters the series has created. Sure, while New Leaf gave us Isabelle, it saw a general dumbing down of the previous cast. Blathers in particular seemed like a ghost of his former self, no longer giving you adorable little speeches about every donation. Shit like that is small, but it's why I'm so glad he's back and just as dorky as Evil. As well as the slow start made unlocking him along with the museum feel like a general achievement. I really dug the game's slower pace at the beginning, to be honest, slowly opening up the island per day as you unlock new items to help you traverse and grow, making the later stuff you do seem way more important. Small stuff like the watering can in old titles were way bigger deals this time around, once you get them because you literally have to craft them yourself with the new crafting system. And while the crafting system did worry me during the original trailers, as a system, it actually works pretty well in Animal Crossing. Mostly. The use of gathering supplies and resources from around the town and making them into the items you've already used actually adds a nice gameplay loop to the mix, but the fact they break calls into question why they didn't include something as obvious as a damage meter. Like, you guys got this right with Breath of the Wild, there's no excuse at this point. It's a system that works well, but like a lot of things in the game, it would have been a whole lot smoother with some quality of life updates down the line, which now a year in, we know that's not going to happen, but it was a nice dream while it lasted. As I said, we're a year past the release of Animal Crossing New Horizons. And while I don't actually really play the game anymore, it's absolutely my game of the year purely for what it represented in 2020, an escape. 2020 was a fucking nightmare, but Animal Crossing gave myself and clearly many others a place to completely control, to vibe or just thrive during a year where simply getting out of bed was a struggle for me. It's not a perfect game by any means, but what it did right was important to many people and will continue to be for years to come. It's a game that was at the perfect place at the perfect time, while we were all in the exact opposite. Call that a cop-out or a bad reason to think of something as a game of the year, but I honestly can't think of many games that helped me sleep during 2020, and the sweet relaxing tones of KK Bossa against the lapping of the sea against my shores never failed me. Games aside though, 2020 was a cool year for me, not only in terms of creating, but reaching out and becoming friends with a bunch of cool, talented people. Early in the year, the big kahuna Tor High Heels opened a Discord for his Patreon lads, and through it I legit found a bunch of awesome fellow creators. The video content of the Big Boot Thor, Potato Babes Devon, El Target, Randolph, Shin Pokey, the Jai Man himself, Armuda, Hazel, and Demenza's Gate all kinda kept me entertained and above all, goddamn inspired to make better and cooler content, and I hope that shows. Oh, and as well as that, Mr. Translator Extraordinaire Oni Dino helped me a fuck ton. Been a really lovely lad to talk to and supplied me with a bunch of wonderful podcast listening over at Nintendo Everything, with his lovely co-host Galen. So go give them a listen if you want to chill to lo-fi boomers to vibe to. Also, speaking of listening, Hazel, she makes incredible music under the name Twinkle Park. Just go stream Endless Summer Malaise, it made me cry in a fucking bus. It's incredible. But yeah, the last year was pretty dark, and let's face it, this year is probably gonna have like advanced darkness.
This isn't your average everyday darkness. This is advanced darkness.
But I hope we can all still come together to play some cool games and make some rad shit in 2021. It's already April. Shut up! Hey, thanks for watching the video. It means a lot. These little end cards are always a bit awkward, and I actually didn't even write anything for this one, so we're winging it this time, boys. This video got personal and cute, and I hope people liked it. Legit though, you all mean a lot to me, and you've helped me a lot. Speaking of that though, I've opened a Patreon. There's like small little tiers, $1, $5, $10, nothing crazy, just, you know, if you want to support the channel, support me, support me getting out of my horrific retail job and maybe be able to move out of this house, that'd be great. But you don't have to. The Ko-fi's also there if you want to support, just like a one-time thing, just buy me a coffee or something. Yeah, subscribe, like, comment, all the stuff for engagement, you know how it is. And hope to see you guys next time. Bye.